time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Wow.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and welcome to another horrible game review. Before we get into it, I've got to go ahead and do some disclaimers. Number one, this is a Snap Judgment review. The word horrible in the title of this content does not refer to the game or DLC that I am looking at, but much more this video itself. I do a Snap Judgment review here, so I get 4 to 5 hours with the game tops, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. And I'm just trying to give you an idea of whether you're going to enjoy the game right off the bat or not. That, coupled with the fact that I think games are one of the most subjective forms of art, I do not give scored reviews here. Instead, I will tell you the overview of what the game is, I'll tell you the pros and the cons of the game in my point of view, as all reviews are, and then I'll tell you whether I will be sticking with this game outside the purposes of this video. So, that being said, what I'm reviewing today is Fall Guys. It went free to play. It switched over to Epic from Steam and dropped on all the consoles, not just PlayStation 5, or PlayStation. So now people are able to play it, especially since it's free to play. It's no longer a cost-prohibited thing. So I have downloaded it both on my Switch and PC, especially since my daughter really wanted to give it a try. And she's 6, so let's see. Did it hold up? Well, first of all, what is Fall Guys? Fall Guys is a very strange game. It mimics the old, well, I guess, and present day obstacle course games like Wipeout XL and MXC, if you're old enough to remember what that is. And to some extent Ninja Warrior, although Ninja Warrior is much more serious. These are all cartoonish, kind of silly obstacle courses that are just created in this weird kind of like Sky Zone. And it also adds in a bunch of extra challenges and mini games. It is a multiplayer games as a service where you load in as your own little bean guy. They're all bean guys, not real people. And you go into this thing with 60 other people. What happens then is you do one of these, like some random event, such as running through fake doors, maybe an obstacle course, or trying to grab tails off and survive, just all sorts of weird things. And it has a certain number of people who can survive the round. So if you're at 60, the first round, you got to be in the top 40. If you're in the top 40, you move on to the next round, and the next round cuts off the next, however many of the people until you get about 5 rounds in, when you're down to about 6 to 9 people left, and you try to be the last one standing. It works on a battle pass-like system that you level up by playing the missions and accomplishing different challenges and goals inside each match. Plus, there are usual ample events outside that can give you all sorts of cosmetic upgrades. Though, if you're expecting to go in and have fun customizing your character right off the bat, like my 6-year-old did, you will be sadly disappointed. There is almost no cosmetics unlocked at the beginning of the game outside of 3 different color palettes. That's about it for your beam. That being said, the actual buttons of the game are very simple. You move with one analog stick, control the camel with the other. It works in third person. You have one button to jump, one button to dive wall jumping, dive forward, and then one button to grab, which we're going to talk about in the cons section. We're definitely going to talk about it in the cons section. But the grab allows you to mantle on certain ledges that are higher than you, and it also allows you to play certain weird grabbing ball games or the games where you have to tag your opponents. So yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing. I think this is going to be a pretty quick review, because that's the entire description of this game. And you're definitely seeing it in the video, so you're getting an idea of what I'm saying. I mean, there's not much more to it. You can squad up and up to teams of 4. You got the duos and trios stuff here, and you can just go solo. It's very much a battle royale, but cute and non-lethally competitive. So, let's go into the pros and cons. I like to start positive, so I'm going to say the pros first. I love the simplicity of the interaction here. Somehow they have made the game easy to learn and hard to master, and I love those kinds of games because those games speak to both me and my daughter. I can play a full match of this and have a lot of fun, and she can play a match of this and have a lot of fun. Though she rarely gets as far as me, she still can do everything that the game requires, and that's a huge plus for her. I think a lot of games shut her down just because she doesn't have the coordination yet to be able to master all the buttons required to play the games. Whereas this one, it's just 3 buttons, and she's pretty much good. Try not to get hit by stuff and move forward. That's great. That's great for her. We are going to have some special cons directly from Stella's mouth. Well, not directly from Stella's mouth in this recording, but stuff that I've been told to tell you guys when I do review this later. But overall, I love the accessibility of this game. My wife also played it. We recorded it, stealth plug here, for a Prelude to Divorce upcoming. And she got right into it because she was able to master those controls real easy. With other battle royales like PUBG, Modern Warfare, Naraka Blade Point, you have to master so many buttons, so much timing, so much thought processes that go in, so much different looting and where the locations are. This is very simple. Figure out what the game you're playing is, figure out how to get through the game, move and press 3 different buttons. And while that a lot of people might think, that's too simple for my taste, this really does a really good job of, once you're inside it, seeing like, oh, I see how this could be something that's very addictive, because there is something to it. Then let's go ahead and go into my next pro, which is stability on the PC. I really enjoy the stability on the PC. I've had really fast queues, gotten into games really quick. Of course, it just went free to play, so the servers are going to have a lot of stuff. And while we did have some problems on the Switch, we'll get into in the cons, on the PC, this game is a dream to play. I haven't had any boots, haven't had any problems with lag, haven't had any problems getting into matches, very little wait time. I'm enjoying that. That's better for me than just about every other game out there, and I really like that. So Final Pro, because I don't have any specific pros here, I'm going to say overall, this is a really fun game. It's a fun, simple game that you can get into, and I really like that about this. I think that, like, I'm going to have some cons, and they're probably going to outnumber this, but I don't think they outweigh it, because there's nothing specific to point to in this game to go, this is really great. But the game itself it's fun, it's simple, it's easily accessible, it's a good time waster, it doesn't take too much time out of it. There is some strategy and some good twitch reflexes to it, while never being too frustrating. It's just a good, balanced, fun game. There's not a lot to specifically target there. But we do have to go into the cons, which I can specifically target. And number one, the Switch version. The Switch version, while it looks fine, has some issues. Number one, if you're not playing on the OLED, which is a direct Ethernet cable access, you're going to have some problems with the internet stuff. Now, while I never got dropped out of a match when I got in, it took me somewhere about 5 to 10 minutes to get into matches, and sometimes it would just boot me from the game entirely. Again, once I was in the game, I never lost the game. I never lost progress in the game. But getting into a match was pretty difficult. Getting into the game sometimes was relatively difficult. The other thing that's a little bit irritating is this whole game feeds off your Epic Store account. So even if you're playing it on Switch, you still have to link that account with your Epic Store account. And once you do that, so I can't play it on my PC with my daughter unless my daughter has an Epic Store account, and I'm not going to give her that. So you have this kind of like weird issue where it like jumps back and forth. And I love the cross progression, but it does create some interesting questions on how to do certain things. And again, I would not play this on the Switch, especially if you're playing it on a Wi-Fi connection. It's just a little bit rough, and that's something that kind of bothered me. My next con is the lack of customization in the beginning, coupled with the not real push for microtransactions, but the required microtransactions in a lot of this stuff. Like, look, they give you a lot of stuff for completing challenges. I'm not going to say they didn't, because after 3 days of playing, I already had unlocked a few skins, unlocked a couple of items. So on that side, it's good. But I've never found a game like this with so little customization right off the rip. You can't edit anything about this. You literally can be blue or pink, like blue or pink, and that's it. Like, that's the only thing you can change on your character. You can't change anything about your name tag, can't change anything about your outfits until you start unlocking things. Well, that's a little frustrating, especially for my 6-year-old, whose favorite thing to do in any game is to customize stuff. She likes to create characters more than she likes to play the games. So she was very excited to go in and customize. I get it. You're trying to sell a game. You're free to play. You're trying to sell the things that people want to have. I get that. I totally understand that microtransaction mentality. And I don't necessarily believe overall that microtransactions are evil on a whole when you have free to play. That being said, give us at least a color palette to play with, something along those lines, so that we can at least make our character a little bit unique in the beginning. It was like a sea of pink characters with a few characters with skins who had obviously been playing for a while. And this is my daughter's biggest problem with the game, is that she can't she can't have fun customizing the character until we've put probably hundreds of hours into the game, and that's a little annoying. I like this game. I think one of the coolest parts about it could be like the artistic representation of your character, and they don't give you enough ways to do that, which just was really irritating. Then finally, I've got to talk about the grabbing, mainly in races. Look, one thing that's nice about this game is there's very little ways for people to troll you. You just keep your mic off. There's not really any like camping on certain areas. There's not really any like hiding in certain areas, because it's very simple. Get from point A to point B, or do this one little thing, and that's it. Everything else is pretty fair. There is one specific way to troll people, though, and for whatever reason, this game leaves the grab on in races for people, and which means that you can literally grab on to people and hold them in a spot. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating because you get players who start to lose or start to fall behind, so they just grab people just to like just put their misery on other people, I guess. And it's very, very annoying. I feel that like Mediatonic should really look at basically making disabling grabs in races. I think would fix everything, because everything else that you can grab in is like a survival match, or like where you're trying to stay on a platform, or like a match where you're throwing a ball at somebody, or a match where you're trying to grab their tail. All of those make sense. Like, okay, you grabbed me in a survival mode and took me down with you. I can't fault you for that. But in a race, it's just really annoying and frustrating. I wish they would take that grab out for the race portions of this game. Other than that, I'm okay. I'm okay with everything else that the game has to offer, and that's where we're going to come to stick with it. My daughter likes playing this. She can play it easily. She can get in and out of a match relatively easily, and while I have never seen her make it past the 3rd round, she still has a lot of fun doing it, especially when she gets out and still gets some sort of reward for it. We have spent hours just sitting at my PC switching the controller back and forth, and that's a lot of fun to do. There should be some more opening customization options, but I'm going to stick with it with her. I'm going to keep playing it alongside of her. It's a fun game, and I think that, thank God, it's finally free. Like, I don't like games like this, these games as service that charge you money for their product. Especially when the game is full of microtransactions. I don't think this game should have ever had a price tag on it because it had so many microtransactions. It's something that's always irritated me about Naraka, and I don't blame anybody who don't follow me in when I play a game that costs money. If you're going to have a games as service that's based on microtransactions, it should be free to play. That's just my opinion. But nonetheless, I will stick with this. I'm glad it's free to play. I do want to put a final note on this that's of some irritation, and that is they did promise to never not make this game available on Steam, and they have taken it off Steam. If you do own it through Steam, you can continue to play it. They will continue to support that version, but you cannot purchase it through Steam. It has moved to the Epic Store, which is always a bummer because the Epic Store is terrible. It is just a terrible, glitchy nightmare of a mess that only competes with Steam because they throw money at everything. So it's a little bit of a bummer that it's there on PC alone. That's the only place to get it, and I would like the Switch version to be just a little bit cleaner and better, so my daughter could play it on that if she wanted. Alright, that's it, guys. You can contact us on Facebook at OhMyGamingDH, on Twitter at OhMyGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you guys keep watching. I'll keep making them. See you guys next time.